the difference between resurrection and wasted time. I never take off his gold chain. I rip out my teeth. Every extraction a failure to reanimate pops. An entrance left unused. Learn to not trust anything Pop said. When he said he has cancer. When he says he won't live much longer. When he says in his last voicemail, I love you. I never take off his gold chain. Before going to the barber shop, I gotta call my barber Eric to let him know I'm pulling up. Yo, hello? Yeah. Who this? Yo, what up, homie? How you been, kid? Would say he asked a lot of questions for a barber, but he been lining me up before I knew who I was. I knew I asked for stars in 2 lines on both sides of my head in middle school. I asked to keep the stars unfinished. I asked to see the mirror, and as botched as I had been, because I ain't let him finish, he and I knew this was the first time I got to choose how I looked. And since I was told not to call a boy beautiful, I was my first. So that chapbook's here, and so I'm really excited. The bookstore, The Head in the Hand, is also a press that is publishing my chapbook. I'm really excited. They're doing a 500 print run. And I'm copying my own 500. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be a little 1,000 of them little babies running around. It's called "If Pit Bulls Had a God, It'd Be a Pit Bull." And I'm not sure how to say this philosopher's name, Xenophanes, right? But he said, if cattle and horses or lions had hands, or were able to draw with their feet and produce the works which men do, horses would draw the forms of gods like horses, and cattle like cattle, and they would make the god's body the same shape as their own. And I'm pretty sure this piece was published in a Sentosa Review.
That's right.
Good. Also, I'm the moment I met Reina in person, I was like, hi, I'm Gabriel. And it was like Ramirez. I was like, yes. And I was freaking out. And I don't we screamed in front of everybody. We're like, ah! Sentosa Review was always just one of those places I had hoped to have my work find a home in one day. And then it did, and now we're here, and I'm just really blessed to call Reina a friend and family. Truly. Thank you. Russell the pit bull on the suspicion of his joy. Strangers only see my teeth when I smile. Only call me dangerous. Never ask what's my favorite food. Fire hydrant, flower, place to nap, spot to scratch, collar to rock. They ask about my temper. If I bite them with my gold teeth, will their ignorant blood up in value? Can they collage photos from news clippings? Whose children I've ragdolled into headlines? If I jump on people, if I'm kept in a cage, if I'm allowed in bed with my family, if I'm such a good boy, why are they afraid of me? Would there be more peace without me smiling? Okay, so I miss my grandparents, you know what I'm saying? And they used to play a lot of salsa music, you know what I mean? And like I never learned how to dance that, you know what I mean? But then I was like, I'm gonna just teach myself at the crib. I got this. YouTube, press play. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. Dun 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 dun. Cool. Okay, I got this. I got this. And this is what my brain did. I was like, dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 that laffy taffy, hey! That laffy taffy, hey! Thus the title. I learned to count salsa steps to Laffy Taffy by D4L. Summer 93. Mommy goes to have her thyroid checked and doesn't. Learns I'm on her stomach and then see those. Pops tells me this to assure me I wasn't an accident. Pops left when I was 8 months old. Pops would tell people he raised me well. Trust when I say not to trust Pops, and as his son, trust when I say I ran for my family like Pops. Said no to whatever Abuelana tried putting on my plate. Mommy never put anything on my plate. She was too busy working and going out and finding the next place to be. I fell down a flight of steps as a baby. Mommy wasn't paying attention or was too busy, and Pops found me at the bottom of the stairs. Then something about Knuckles and Mommy's ability to hide the way Pops loved her. Either way, I was a baby, so I was barely there. Then I grew up, and Mommy and Pops were barely there. But Celia Cruz kissed Mommy's stomach, and Abuelo would brush his teeth, and I'd be on the toilet imagining what heaven would be like. I was in the second grade, and Miss Young was tall and gave me poetry and taught me how to read the hands of a clock. Miss Young was my first Black teacher and the first person who took nurturing seriously, not for the check, for the hurt child she saw me hiding in my love for Langston Hughes. In a river, I speak, I say, I'm hungry and I love you. I was an easy child with nothing at ease. Had to go every Sunday and I could care less. I'm playing video games or scooping out extra cups of rice from a green drum so I could definitely have thirds, but never con. There's preference and then there's rejection. You see where I'm going? DC to eat my homie's mom's shrimp and grits for breakfast. Ushering in 2013 with Jungle Juice and Domingo on life support. Dance floor wet supporting folk I never met while they got dubbed on. Swag surfed into another house party. The girls I came to the parties with became my sisters, and our sweated out clothes made us kin. We holding each other up so bent that we was straight, and it was all I needed. We were all we needed. A week later, Abuelo dies visiting Domingo the day he was taken off life support, but we don't tell him anything for once. It's not pride that silences the family, but loss and our inability to imagine heaven. Another week passes, and Domingo joins Abuelo for a double wake at Ortiz Funeral Home off 190th and Broadway. Fire hazard of grief spilling out the chapel. Enough cousins I had never met to wonder how much easier it all could have been. Enough family to feel part of one. I let go of my father's abandonment to carry a name I knew better than any. Ramirez. I started hearing the music differently. Something muddled but mine. Something you couldn't tell me wasn't genetic. Like blood, like hips, like rhythm, like activism. I started carrying myself the way I needed to be carried as a baby. With love and consistency. I take my own hands and they let me sweat there. I move like I didn't need a translator. I sing with my whole heart like I picked fruit the island bore. Shouting, Azúcar! Gap toothed with the truth my family couldn't keep up with. Este niño tiene tumbao. I am them and Black at the same time. ¿Cómo es posible? ¿De dónde es tu familia? Where not even death keeps us from dancing. I got my eye on the stopwatch, so I'm gonna do like 3 more poems real quick. It's gonna be fast. Thank you so much. Pops dead 4 months. Remembering Pops taught me to float on my back. watching moonlight on my Delta flight after leaving Abuela Ana's casket with abuelos in Santiago, Dominican Republic. I'd be lying if I didn't feel their hands stacked and securing my neck and spine. I got this ease with grief. Cry all I need to, not all I want to. Deep breaths, cups brimming with water. I feel furthest from Abuelo. The God I had then ain't the ancestors I have now. I keep baby's breaths for everyone I hold in the heaven of my brain, gorilla tape and lining the sarong my sister Monica gifted me. I tell you, if a flower could be a casket, you see, my therapist helps me see I got things. Things about family and consistency, how love should and should have looked. Everything isn't my fault. I love people to see what brilliant light love could have made of me. Everything I am is from grief, defense mechanism, laugh and dance and smile and joy and hope, thinking about getting a baby's breath tattooed under my eye, imagining how fresh it'll look every time I cry, thinking about how it's been 4 months since Pops died and the 4 ulcers they found in Mommy's stomach the morning of Abuela Ana's viewing and how Mommy couldn't come to Santiago to see her parents be together again. I tell you, if death isn't what makes a family. Abuelo, I couldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for you being dead. It was time for glitter, nail polish, and curls. Glitter in my nail polish, glitter in my curls. You wouldn't have loved me loving myself. My joy rendered inconvenience, sucked teeth, keeping me your grandson. My love for the men in our family, it's complicated. But it's still love. Still me accepting who they are, how they may not accept me, Abuelo. Show them the infinite possibilities tenderness allows. How the men in our family love women. I would love to be loved by me. And I would be afraid to be loved by me. I'd say enough to keep, but never do enough to stay afraid to die alone like Pops did. Others' love for me has been what's left after forgiveness. I could have loved them better if I just loved myself more. There's nothing I could hide from you, Abuelo, and though you are no longer of your prejudices and I can still hold you accountable, I'd rather be held by your body of stars. Your new understanding of life without the exhaustion of matter, Abuelo. Mommy says I look just like you. But I want to look like a man who learned to forgive himself. Orchids blooming up my throat. No man wants to sound like who's abandoned them. What song made us ask the wrong questions? What jokes made us laugh, closing doors on our truest selves? Who would relive the moments that shaped them into what they couldn't love? All my glitter and tenderness makes me the only mother I won't get a chance to mourn. I carry my bright child self and I say, you will become me. Trust, sweet, sweet, sweet Gabriel. Baby boy. Everybody dies on time. Thank you.
Gabriel Ramirez, everybody. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's all breathe. make this taller? Can you hear me okay in the back? Can I do that? Okay, great. Thank you. I want to take a minute to thank again our co-sponsors of this incredible series. Young American Cider, let's give it up. And y'all, you can order food and drink while you're here. Just wave at the beautiful staff and tip them generously when the time comes. The Acentos Review. Yeah. National Association for Latino Art and Culture. And Reclaim Philadelphia. On the counter, on the bar at the back, there's Reclaim t-shirts and sweatshirts. How much do they cost?
$10 for the t-shirts, $20 for the sweatshirts.
What a deal. And they're beautiful blue. There's also literature and buttons and stickers. So visit the bar before you go. And I think almost everybody got the sign-up sheet to learn more about Reclaim. And if you didn't, you can see my sister-in-law, Cynthia, wave at the nice people. She's got it. Also, we had a big rush coming in, so if you didn't get a chance to donate, we are asking for a suggested donation of $5 per person. This will fund the series going forward. You can drop cash in the hat, or there's the QR code that you can scan with your phone, or you can see me afterward with your credit card, and we can do the square sliding drawn. I know, it's a technical term, so. The sliding drawn. Yes, okay. Also, grab one of these beautiful handbills that our friend Kerwin Sutherland made.
Thank you.
There's a stack on the table. Put it on your fridge so you come back. We're going to be every third Sunday of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. Next month, we're going to be on the terrace outside, October 20th, with Roberto Carlos Garcia, Carmen Calatayud, and Sister Sonia Sanchez. November 17th, we've got Nikki Hurd and Nzadi Keita, who's with us tonight. And then on December 15th, which is my birthday, y'all, we have Germantown's own Ursula Rucker and Seth's cousin coming down from New York, Miller Overman. And then we're booking out 2025, so it's going to keep on rolling. So please come back. Third Sunday of the month at 5 o'clock. It's now my very, 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 very great pleasure to introduce Denice Frohman. Yeah. Oh, that's not my paper.
It's over.
Yes, thank you. Denice is another poet who really brilliantly embodies the spirit of this series. Imaginative, visionary, activist. I met her at Split This Rock Poetry Festival, which is an organization based out of DC that I co-founded and was the director of for its first 10 years.
Yeah.
Still going strong. And Denice hosted a youth open mic. And those young people, they could not stop talking about it. She inspired and supported them with her gorgeous and fierce poetry and presence. She gives flight to others. She's a poet and performer originally from New York City, received support from the Pew Center for the Arts, Baldwin for the Arts, Canto Mundo, Headlands Center for the Arts, NALAC, and the National Endowment for the Arts. A former Women of the World Poetry Slam champion. Yeah. Denice has featured on hundreds of stages from the Apollo Theater to the White House. This bio says currently you're developing, but is it already
Yeah, it's
developed?
already developed.
It's
It's
still
still
being
in-
developed.
it's still in the
I
works.
performed it, but it's still.
It's a work in progress.
Yes, work in progress.
There you go. we still have a chance to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. A one-woman show, Esto No Tiene Nombre, which centers the oral histories of Latina lesbian elders. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I give you Denice Frohman.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Can we get one more round of applause for Sarah, Rita, and Seth? And another round of applause for Gabriel. Incredible. So I never sit down, but I'm gonna sit down because I'm a new homeowner and I was staining my deck today and everything hurts. Yeah, now I know what a pressure washer does. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. Now you know what I'll be writing about. couple of months. So yeah, I think maybe we'll. I want to start by acknowledging how special I think this space is already, and how grateful I feel to be part of this launch. There are a lot of poets in the room. Philadelphia is a city with a lot of talent, and I think we really do need a space exactly like this one. And so personally, I feel invested in this space. I can tell others do as well, because this is a really disembodying time. And I think I've really been sitting with the ways that a system that invests in a death culture requires our disembodiment. And so anytime we get to especially be together in space, connecting with one another, especially through an art form like poetry, which to me is an invitation to do the exact opposite, to be embodied. In the face of a system that tries to rationalize dropping 2,000-pound bombs on families in flip-flops. I think the practice of poetry for me has been and continues to be to stay in my body. And so I appreciate this in more ways than one. And I already feel like I have been gifted so much through what has been shared. So with that being said, I'm going to share, maybe we'll start here. So yeah, Esto No Tiene Nombre is I wrote a play. I wrote a play last year. It debuted in Philly.
Brilliant. So good.
Thank you. Shout out to Intercultural Journeys for presenting it. And yeah, it was really the culmination of a year and a half that I spent interviewing Latina lesbian elders. One of the most fulfilling things that I think that I've done and been blessed to have been a part of. And so I want to start with sharing one of the pieces, a short poem that I wrote in response to an interview that I did with an elder named Ada Bello, who lived in Philly for decades. And Ada was born in Cuba in the 30s and came to Philly and was the founder of the Philly chapter of Daughters of the Lights. That's how far back her activism went, and how iconic she was to this city. Unfortunately, she passed 2 months before the premiere of Esto No Tiene Nombre. We had her jacket, her blazer in the front row in her honor. I was gifted some of her clothes, like I wear them, and so she really means a lot to me. And I want to just like bring her presence into this room because I think she would be so moved by, she loved poetry. She was an avid reader of poetry. And so, you know, Ada shared a lot of stories with me. She was 89 years old when we did our first interview together, and she told me there was like one particular story about a bar named Rusty's, which was down like around 13th and Walnut. That was a very popular lesbian bar at the time, in the 60s. And you know, Ada oftentimes frequented this bar with her friends. And eventually the bar started to get raided by the police. This is under Frank Rizzo's administration, his racist administration. And so when I think about like, they come, what is that quote? They come for you in the night, they come for me in the morning, or vice versa, right? Like, we understand, just even if you know anything about Frank Rizzo, the hell that he raised for Black Philadelphians and also LGBT and Latino Philadelphians is really just another reminder of our sort of need to collectively look out for one another and fight for each other's liberation. All that to say, this might be longer than the poem itself. I don't really care. Because I get to talk about things that I don't always get to talk about. A bar named Rusty's. And so it's 1968. This is 1 year before Stonewall. Ada's in the bar with her friends. The bar gets raided. And thus the Philly chapter of Daughters of Denice was born. That was what made Ada and her friends say, like, fuck this. We need to start organizing. And one of the questions that I asked Ada was like, how are you able to do such public-facing work? Like public-facing work at a time like this. And she was like, well, we had joined Daughters of Denice that eventually became Homophile. Actually, under pseudonyms. We made up fake names. We would use our initials on things, and Ada did not have her citizenship yet. And so it was risky for everyone, was even twice more risky for Ada. So when I asked her what her name was, like, what name did you use? She was like, oh, Maria something like that. And I was like, were there other Marias? And she was like, yeah, there were other Marias, you know, some Cubans who were also in the same situation. So this is called Maria somethings. Not like some doo-wop group or that old telenovela show Marimar. Not like that Carlos Santana song. Y'all know that song? Or any old West Side Story lyric. No sharks, no jets here. We were a sea of Marias. Easy, sayable, unseen. Something any gringo with 2 left feet could pronounce. Because this country would scoop you up and haul you out in the back of a paddy wagon for being unsayable, out of tune, and too seen. Seen as in illegal. Illegal as in jaywalking, or as in another lover's lips meeting yours on a quiet, hot Wednesday night. As in a bar, down the alley, past the bouncer, up the stairs, on the number you plan to know. And though the jukebox is the only law you answer to, though the speaker's the only God whose voice never atrophies, the roaches who infest this place could care less. So see me, Maria, with the button-down shirt. See me, Maria, with the denim Wrangler jeans. See Maria with the hand-me-down purple dress. Now here comes another Maria with a leather vest. All Marias. Maria somethings. Thanks to Police Chief Rizzo and his crooked trench coat cronies, their badges and batons, their wandering hands in basements and bars. And though we were loud, all rejected in one language or another by an aunt, a father, a country. So we decided to become somebody's daughters of Bilitis. Something so made up, it was real. Something mythic, a mouthful, a rumor with a side door entrance and a front door key. And who was Bilitis, you ask? Shit. She was the fictional name of this dyke who lived across the street from Sappho on the island of Lesbos. This is true. You want to be real. Some would say real poets we were. Yeah. But daughters first. Thank you. This poem is called City Kid Pastoral. And the only thing you need to know is that this was my first time, we're city kids. you know, New York City kids. I've lived in Philly for a long time, so I also feel like, Philly is my home. But I am not, let's just put it like this. Of the 15 residents that were at this writing residency, I was the only one who walked around with an orange whistle. Because we were in the middle of nowhere. It was like the Adirondacks, right? And like, I've walked through many hoods, comfortable. When you put me in nature and I'm just things I don't know. I don't know. I can't assess danger in nature. Does that make sense? Like, if you can assess when is stuff about to get real, like, you're good, you know? I don't know, like, what can a possum do? You know, like, I've had raccoons roll up on me. They can remember combination locks for 2 years. Don't ask me how I know. That's another poem. Okay. But I have been, there was a moment at this residency that really made me reflect on how we really are raised in a culture of fear, you know, to fear the unknown. And that's our orientation toward a thing we don't know, to just fear it rather than to have a culture of curiosity. City Kid Pastor. Flashlight under my right arm in the dead of night. I half sprint back to my cottage, clapping twice to scare the deer. Though I am scared, which seems like a case of whoever smelt it, dealt it. City kid, thick in the woods of ferns and fungus, I've traveled 6 hours for the gift of space and time. This residency, a reprieve from the taxi cab's racket and ruckus of 21st century dings. Where's my bell? See, here's the deal. I've spent 20 minutes trying to shoo a fat bee out of my room through a small gap in the screen. Its striped body crawling up and further away from the opening. And normally, I would have ended the inconvenience by now. But I'm in the Adirondacks, where such things seem extreme, noticed, where at night the loons and coyotes exchange hot verses over the lake, and every writer swears they can tell them apart, but they can't. Where it's so quiet, I can hear the dragonfly's small motor hum on the dock while reading Solmaz Sharif's essay on erasure, which, she argues, is a colonial act of obliteration. The bee is working my last nerve. I scooped the little prick 3, maybe 4 times toward the peephole, away from my cheap impulse to smash it. And before I lose my patience, someone remind me, kindness is not a favor. It is perhaps what Araceli's proposes, recognition. Besides, the little nugget is just a big-ass fly masquerading in a black and gold uniform. Let's call them nature's referee. But who can be sure? I'm still itching for ruin. And now my palm grows smaller, so small it could thread the screen. Meanwhile, the coyote loons cackle, the bee's tush wiggles, and I wonder how often I've crawled against my own survival. What little mercies work their ways beyond my sight. My precious bee, forgive me. If I know cruelty, I've practiced that English on myself first. Besides, what do I know about beauty? Everything I love is alive and terrifying. Messed up because I don't know when I started, but I feel time, so I think I'll know when it's time. Last year I had this wonderful opportunity to also be part of this multimedia exhibition in Brooklyn at Pioneer Works called Climate Futurism. I was one of 4 artists. It was my first time doing an installation, and there's such a a beautiful tradition, history of poets in the visual arts, and I have so much reverence for them. And it was really exciting to be a part and get this opportunity. And so, really, for me, what my installation ended up becoming was an exploration of land and food justice in Puerto Rico, where my mom is from. And because I used to go in the summers as well, and my mom was born on a hacienda, on a coffee farm. And they were not owners of the land, they were the workers, the laborers of the land. And this hacienda was called Hacienda La Balear. And in sort of starting to work on this exhibition, I wrote this poem after an interview that I had done with my mom to sort of try to, sometimes, we have to trick the people that we love in our lives when we're interviewing them. And maybe trick is not the right word, but there is try to create a space where my mom might share things that she has not shared before because of trauma, right? And we don't talk about that. And so this poem was a way for me, and one thing that I learned was that if I am a descendant of my mom's trauma as being pushed off of the island, right, then I'm also a descendant of her care, of her intimacy with the land. And to me, that was the invitation, both for myself and hopefully for people that listen to this poem. And really, it became animated, quite frankly, after I learned that the hacienda that she was born on was bought and turned into a luxury Airbnb rental a few years ago. This epigraph is a quote by this writer named Nikita Gill. And she writes, if you want answers, look at who nurtures the olive trees and who destroys them. Because I hear echoes of other worlds in your bones, I ask you to tell me the story again. How you were born 3,000 feet above fear, deep in the coffee mountains of Ajuntas. How abuelo, a trabajador who owned nothing, grew plátanos, peppers, malanga, fat like Christmas ornaments on a small patch of earth. Bless the sweat on his brow, how with great care and attention, he loosened green beans one by one, then split them open like a caterpillar's spine. How from this he fed the family next door and the one next to that. Bless his song of Eñapa, which means a little extra, something more. Like your route, which you tell me was something like this. 2 cups of white rice borrowed from Ellie's house. Abuela's achiote seeds. Some cabbage from Don Pedro's little finca, and the rest whatever you got from the earth's descarga. Bless how abuela cured your aches with yanten seed, lemon leaf. How she taught you if you kneel to the land, it would kneel back. Tell me again how you fish chagaras in Lago Guayo, pluck the thin meat from their tiny shells. How once in a grocery store aisle miles away, you stared at the brown mark under my right eye like a tail you'd left behind. This is how I know my mother's memory is a map. Now visitors claim the land for $400 a night, a rental listing for spectators to live colonial style, exotic, off the grid. At night, I close my eyes and rewrite the deed. Here is your land back, heart back. Here, now, and in perpetuity. Steward of the calabaza and banana tree. Steward of the culantro and rooster with the creaky limb. Steward of abuelo's stories told under the night sky's steady gossip. Every time a tourist yells despacito, may a jibaro grow new wings. May this poem be a fist, my fist, planting itself in the eye of nostalgia and twisting until I'm a descendant of your knowing. And what is nostalgia anyways, if not a way to say we made it, a way to say here's a door, then another. If I listen closely, I can hear 1,000 silver keys spill from your mouth. I can even hear God sing. Juca, batata, the world. Can I bargain for 2 more? All right, I'll be quick because I gotta do one for Acentos.
Oh, and we have a question. Tell us the name of the one you just read.
Hacienda La Balear.
Thank you.
I know you'll know exactly what I just said. All right, I can write it down. All right, this is some new shit, some working it out shit. I love work in progress. Cockroaches. Who said oh God? No, I grew up with some cockroaches, you know what I mean? We arrived before dawn. Watched the dinosaurs grow thin. Poor things, they didn't listen either. Then you came along, all chest poked out and flat-footed. We knew marathons weren't your specialty. So we descended on your kitchens like a fever, eager to counsel. We raised our antennas, but fear is a strange creature. How it infests your nation. How it scurries across the living room in broad daylight and no one says a word. Meanwhile, my cousin Randy, all 4 centimeters of bad hind legs and bad hygiene can end a dinner party early. Force Nancy to toss the tres leches in the trash before anyone's eaten it. How else were we supposed to get your attention, you little shit? Isn't it so much harder this way? I mean, the difference between history and a pest is only one can kill you. And we don't believe in endings. The world ends every day if you let it. And we who will inherit the earth can teach you something about running kingdoms, about listening to your dead, about survival work, which is not what it takes to be the last one standing, but about bowing to every little god beneath your soft feet, every inch of sweet soil, every worm and heirloom, every red wood your mother bought. Shout out to Acentos for publishing this poem, A Queer Girl's Ode to the Piragüero. Piragüero is a street vendor in New York City. Oh, Piragüero, my first lover, the only man I ever wanted anything from. I sprinted half blocks for you, got off the bus 2 stops early, took the long way home just to see your rainbow umbrella. Oh, Piragüero, candy cool syrup god, Boricua Batmobile, wooden cart pushing, bobsled, papi. When the viejitas asked for the 10th time whether I got un novio, a boyfriend, the closest name on my tongue was you. Who else made me break my neck in 2? Who else gave me so much for $1? Who raised hell when they nicknamed your island delicacy snow cone, or worse, shaved ice? I trusted you, the hallelujah work of your bare hands, the dirty white kitchen towel you laid over a fat block of ice, and never once did I ask questions. And when they pushed you off 9th Ave, when you packed up on 96, I only saw you after ball games on 131st and 5th, when the hipsters threw ice in paper cups, added nutmeg and real ingredients like mint leaves. Called this an upscale makeover for a poor man's treat. I wanted to shout out, no, you better leave my man alone. Tell me, who else could turn, the only time I've ever said that, who else could turn a new shopping cart into a 57 Chevy? Or a mom and pop shop, maybe the elotero on El Centro. You know, the Chudo ladies by the A train. Maybe my mama, once the nanny, who sewed curtains for a couple upstairs, made an office out of her hands. Like my pops, who cut his saxophone into the velvet flesh of night, rearrange the altitude of a palladium dance floor. And then a plump wad of cash, a worn rubber band, a 401k shoebox, which is to say, praise everything we build under the table. The underworld of workers and wielders, America's thumping bass line, the chorus of a country where 2 for 1 is the best hook to every good song I know. Like the way you turn my tongue into a red carpet, like the first woman I ever loved. Oh, Piragüero, you winter my whole mouth. You conductor of cool. You're the only one I know, the only one who can govern the thick heat like a DJ scratching a glacier. You make the whole city rock. Thank you so much. Shout out to Washington.
Y'all, you know the poems are good when folks are rocking like they're listening to a record, right? Like, it's just, I'm watching Gabriel and I'm like, whoa, they're really vibing. So that brought me great joy. You are amazing. I'm so glad you said yes. I'm so glad you said yes. I'm over there crying in the corner. I'm so glad they said yes, and I'm so glad you said yes. Keep saying yes. Keep saying yes to this, but also to yourself, right? And also to the cider, by cider. Amazing thing. I get to host the open mic, and I'm really excited for it. 7 of you were brave. You wrote your names down. I'm gonna call some of them in just a moment, but I want to remind you that the restroom is there. That if you have bought drinks, make sure you tip your bartenders. If you haven't bought drinks, you should maybe partake in whatever brings you comfort and joy. And I'm so glad again that you said yes. So our first person, we're not gonna stop. We're just gonna keep on moving. So like, take care of your needs. All right. And if you want to get Gabriel's chapbook, it's over here. It's only $10.
Only $10.
Only $10.
Only $10.
The last
That's
one that'll
like-
ever be printed.
That's
I
like a
know.
latte in LA.
And you can get assigned. Yeah, if that's a chance. In 1 year, in 2 years, when Gabriel wins the next award, you're gonna be like, I got that checkbook over there. Gabriel signed it for me. So save me a checkbook. That's all I'm saying right now. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna start with our first open mic person. And remember to greet them with joy and welcome and warmth. So as I call the name, keep those hands going until they come up here, right? So I'm going to call Matt Kaczynski as our first open mic poet. 3 minutes, y'all. 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Can people hear me? They can. Cool. I'm just going to read a handful of poems for you. My name is Matt. These are from my book, Your Human Shape. This won't matter to anybody else, but I haven't read in public in like 5 years, so it's a big deal for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. Okay,
Cool.
good.
I'll just read 2 poems real quick. The first one is called Extinction Level Event. I admit I have been passing my days in a strange manner. My problems were not too serious until the radiologist yelled at me for breathing. Now our galaxy's magnetic field is all askew, and Google has censored the photographs. Our self-proclaimed top minds are on it when they're not hacking celebrities' phones. One day, all our nudes will be tears inside a box. First one. Thank you. And then I'll just read this one. It's called An Hurtful Angel. How long have we stood in line for this peep show? In a wasteland of ecstasy, each tepid atom in its cocoon of self-love. Mutated fruit flies with eyes for legs. Rows and rows of clean, unopened boxes on the shelves, and a truly inspired use of sacred geometry. See, the floor plan channels all psychic energy through the cash register. How to keep a people hungry and hidebound. Cross-legged at the center, emitting a low and steady ohm, is a pig in his tie and tails. Dire straits direct the eye and the ear toward the public square. You cannot turn a poem into a protest. All differences are reconciled through body language. People keep climbing the stairs, but at the top a man shoves them back down, and the papers treat it like a fall. Think reaching for that baddest apple. Think Old Scratch, who ultimately lost his privileges because he demanded a little more for the cosmic dog bowl. Solidarity means you get one and you get one. Thank you.
Y'all have been to readings before. Good job. Like, applause was good. All right, let's keep it going. And just because you put your name on a number does not mean I'm going to call you in that order. So, Ms. Marquita Wright, are you ready? All right. So keep that applause going.
All right, super quick. This is called Recycles. I was formed from nothing, gathered like microscopic droplets, but still more than eyes could see. I was lifted by breezes and carried by winds, elevated just to be hidden, frozen, suspended, waiting to release or be released, set free to fly or to fall. All I wanted to know is where I came from. Puddle or pond, sewer or stream, man's muddy refuse or a source of life. I have no memory of purity, for what was gathered became a part of me. Pollutant particles, plastic and artificial, complicating my composition, making me unfit for consumption. I am cast out without warning, held against flames to burn away what was done to me. I am now naked, evaporated. When the dust settles, what remains is clarity. I am a part of a cycle, a fallen one, reconstituted from dark clouds into stunning rainbows, a perfect prism projecting the full spectrum of existence, source, middle, and source. From nothing I came, into nothing I shall return. But life is but a dream. Endings are only beginnings. And if you miss me on the journey, you can find me in the clouds.
That shirt said my ancestors are ghost riders, and the ancestors said I needed a call. Okay, I'm bouncing around. Y'all ready? Those names of folks? Okay. So our next reader is going to be Andy Stitt. Here you go.
Hey, good to see you, dude. Likewise. Thank you so much. This is going to be a quick one. I'm under a bit of a time constraint, and thankfully so is the time slot. So this one is called Am I Prepared? Am I prepared for this? Am I prepared to be a husband? Am I prepared to be a father? Am I prepared to be a poet? Am I prepared to be alive? Am I prepared to continue living? Am I prepared to leave survival mode? Can I leave survival mode now that the world is burning and my society is slowly collapsing? Am I going to trade the survival mode of perfectionism for having to scrape together a living with resources made scarcer by capitalism and climate change? Am I prepared to tell my young son the state of the world into which I intentionally brought him? Am I prepared to receive love in the same way that I give it? Am I prepared to hold space and show grace to people who couldn't see me? Am I prepared to put down inherited burdens that never should have been mine? Am I prepared for more healing and justice? Am I prepared for freedom? Am I prepared for me? Thank you.
last name that I'm gonna call before Sarah steps up for the end of the open mic is Jenna Rose.
Thank you. So I put together a few poems for a book collection I'm working on, and it's called Bad Mother. So if you ever go through divorce and you go to court, I've learned that you can be cast pretty negatively, and I always thought myself a good person until I heard someone else describe me. So these poems are kind of about that. This is called My Very Presence. I am a psychopath in the body of a princess, helping men turn into women. I am a licensed psychologist inside the physical frame of a statistician, showing off my bubbly energy. I am a crocus budding in a warm field of purpose. And this next one is called The Truth. Thank you. The Truth About a Woman Who is Free. It's about meeting a lawyer. I am God, realized on earth in a woman's body. You are a man with a plan, an office space. Here, here. Let us drink to what is known and unknown. I'd like you to buy.
You know, it takes a lot of courage to get up here on the mic, so let's keep this applause going for these open micers. Our next one on the mic is Danielle. Let's give it up for Danielle.
All right, I'm gonna try to read fast because I think mine is like 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
You're okay. You're good.
I wrote this after I had an argument with my mother, but we're okay now. Imagine where I hula hoop and I play sound bowls in the sun, where people use their lips for words instead of their gums for guns. Seashells are my daughters, playful lizards are my sons, and instead of you wondering where I am and if I ate, I'd love it if you address that trauma passing on your plate. But in La La Land, I decline to dine. I live off water that's alkaline and sunshine these days, mostly because I'm kind of uncomfortable cooking in your kitchen. How history repeats. How once your provisions were essential, undiluted meat, oily the terrain, we slipped into this seemingly inevitable doom. The scenarios may change, but safe to assume we've all struggled to navigate through a mother-daughter dynamic more sorted than a teenager's room. Jillian jigs, I roll around your hypocrisy and double standards like a pig. On paper you support. Your claim to fame is that you give just to give, and I ate. I got plenty of gifts. The lights were on most of the time. I obviously survived, and some days I even got to live. And from that standpoint, it's unjust for me to pretend my failures are relative. But sometimes your agenda was slick, and I saw right through your coping mechanisms that manifested themselves to motive. Am I immature? I wasn't when I paid the price of my adolescence to be your childcare, that's for sure. And now my childlike essence is something I can no longer afford to show you, because turns out you've been judging me. Under a guise of maternal concern and care, I was unaware you've been a tad envious of me for my choices. Regretfully, when I vocalized frustrations in your living room, I apologize for the decibel rise, but sometimes trying to prove a point to you is the most alive I can be. Me, irresponsible? Isn't that the pot calling a kettle a single mom 2 times? Because last time I checked, you were guilty of worse crimes. How quickly we forget when we were down in our grandma's houses where we found ourselves shuffling about how history repeats. Your mama also has selective memory. She also had an affinity to my uncles. Kind of like you tiptoe with soft-soled shoes because it seems you're afraid to lose your relationship with your son more than your relationship with me. The gentleness the boys receive. You know I also had anxiety, but you kind of beat that shit out of me. So prefix me with Fa, surname me with Anthony, and meet my best friend. He's Tinky Winky. I've always been more Peter Pan than Pinocchio, more Lost Boy than the Dwarfs. Ha ho. I reject the real and long for never, never. So for my mental wellness, I have to monitor how much time we spend together because you have landmines to tap, triggers to stomp, conversations to skirt. For real, I'm glad you admitted you don't respect my work. Although my hands bring souls to tears and I try my damnedest to make healing a career. Although I relieve pain in the body and the minds of people, insurance, pensions, 401ks, make ordering lunches and booking conference rooms much more reasonable. Sustainable, official, and there is definitely some truth in that 100% for sure. I get it. You never admit it. Being passive aggressive and sneak distance suits you more fitted. But I've disappointed you. You are disappointed in me and with me no matter what path I choose. You had to push me out of your house like you had to push me out of your room. I'm convinced our complication is a primal thing. So I mangle my lip and swallow back words after the ballads you sing like, I just want you to do better than me. Well, maybe if you would adjust your priorities, you could see that for me, my end goal is to be full of pride and little regrets when I close my eyes. My plan is to inspire, to know peace before I retire, that I tackle some demons you still fight in a quarter of my lifetime. Unlike my predecessors, my ability to not repress, but express my feelings in and out of written form is what makes me a fucking dime. 10 toes down, I spit my truth with conviction and I make that shit rhyme. How history repeats. Once more, the damage is done. I sure hope you mean what you said and you said what you meant. Because when it comes to this la la land shit, I don't only live there, Mom. I'm the fucking president.
Danielle, everybody. Okay, next up we got Victoria. Victoria.
It's wonderful to see you. And I would like you to give yourself an applause. Yes. Because you have been a wonderful Danielle, yes. You read about your mama. Yeah. I'm reading about my daddy. It's called Letters. Found those letters that Daddy wrote from 1965, riddled with regret, full of pain. A father has someone else write his letters because he could not read or write. Always a different handwriting, a different signature, always away from his family, tempted by availability. Possibly it was a new sanctuary. I found these old letters from Daddy, but they always say the same things. I'm sorry I couldn't come. I'm sorry I couldn't send any money. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Who invented that word? It leaves an everlasting pain in the heart, which lingers into eternity. Unfortunately, Daddy is gone. There's no recap of the past. There's no knowledge of whether he heard I'm sorry in his life too. Does I'm sorry change the hurt, disappointment, disengagement of the one person that you looked up to, whose voice you loved hearing, who you loved to hear laugh? Yes, who loved to roll his eyes and say, keep it up. I'm going to have to pop your cap. Those days are gone. The only thing left behind are these old, sad, faded letters of anxiety, pain, and hurt. But Daddy wanted me to come live with him in a world. I'm sorry, but I couldn't leave Mommy. Without the military in his life, he felt like he was not a man of substance anymore. Not a man who could walk tall and proud, or a man who could support his family. He couldn't anymore. I'm sorry, Daddy, that life threw you all those many curveballs. I'm sorry, dyslexia and seizures knew your name all too well. I'm sorry I disappointed you that time. I'm sorry you're not present so I can hear your side of the story. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm sorry.
Sorry out. All right, our final poet on the open mic, Brunette Neal.
This is marvelous. I've been to an open mic in a while.
Welcome.
Anybody in here over 60? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I just want to make sure this poem is relevant. I had to give it a fancy title so that nobody get offended. It's called Eurythmic Relief. If y'all know what rhythmic is, then we got a party. Now that my years have elevation, during each trial and tribulation, I've become quite familiar with something called constipation. I don't say this with great elation because this newfound education has become quite depressing if I am stressing throughout my day. Advice from my physician set me on a special mission to ensure that I have clarity about my regularity. I have become quite wary when advised to avoid dairy. So I was not pleased when they told me I can't have cheese. Confronted with this complication, better known as constipation, I knew I needed a solution that could get the job done. I had a flashback to something my mama did when I was young. She kept a bottle of prune juice handy, and she often gave me some. Oh, I remember complaining when I drank it as a kid. But now that I'm grown, I recall the thorough work it did. So now, when I have a warm cup before I turn in for the night, in the morning when I go potty, my body and I don't have a fight.
What an open mic. Let's give it up for all our open micers. Amazing. And one more time for our featured poet. We are now ribbon. I want to invite you back for next month, October 20th. We're going to be on the terrace because we know we're going to have a big crowd, and to be COVID safe, we've got Carmen Calatayud coming all the way from San Antonio, Texas, and Roberto Carlos Garcia and Sister Sonia Sanchez. Oh my God. I want to give another big round of thank yous to our sponsors, Reclaim Philadelphia, Young American Poetry, Malak, and the Acentos Review. Who in the house lives in Northwest Philadelphia? All right. So, this coming Saturday, that's the 21st, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Northwest chapter of Reclaim Philadelphia is sponsoring a town hall with our state representatives. That is Tarek Khan, Andre Carroll, who will be elected on Tuesday in the special election, and Chris Rabb. So, yeah. So these folks, they work for us. Am I right? So we get to meet them on Saturday, ask them our questions, tell them what's on our mind. There's some flyers on the bar.
Location?
Oh, thank you. The center in the park.
Oh, yeah.
Right here, the senior center in Vernon Park. The entrance is going to be the back entrance that day through the parking lot on Rittenhouse Street. Childcare will be provided, thanks to Reclaim, and also Cynthia is organizing a bake sale to benefit Reclaim. So yes, come and buy the incredibly delicious cookies, and I'm making cornbread because my daddy's from Virginia. So come on out, join us for that, and you'll also get a reminder if you signed up for the Reclaim listserv. You'll get a reminder of that too, and you can sign up for the Wild Indigo listserv here. And if you didn't get a chance to donate, please donate to help support the series. And you can see me if you need the swipey drum. Okay, I'm going to close us with a poem by a Haitian American poet.
Yes.
Yeah, that seemed like important this week, needless to say, and always to honor our immigrant neighbors and kin and friends who build this country every day and have been convenient scapegoats for hundreds of years. Let's remember our history as a nation. There was a time that Italians and the Irish were demonized. So the poet is Linnell Moise. It's Moise, if you want to look her up. She's fucking brilliant. I drop a lot of F-bombs, so I should have given a heads up in the beginning, but there you have it. Okay, we're home. Yeah. And I want to thank you all for staying and for being here in this incredibly beautiful afternoon. I'm just completely overwhelmed. It's called Quaking Conversation. I want to talk about Haiti, how the earth had to break the island's spine to wake the world up to her screaming, how this post-earthquake crisis is not natural or supernatural. I want to talk about disasters, how men make them with embargoes, exploitation, stigma, sabotage, scalding debt, and cold shoulders. Talk centuries of political corruption so commonplace it's lukewarm tap. Talk January 1, 1804, and how it shed life. Talk 1937 and how it bled death. Talk 1964, 1986, 1991, 2004, 2008. How history is the word that makes today uneven possible. Talk about New Orleans, Palestine, Sri Lanka, the Bronx, and other points of connection. Talk resilience and miracles. How Haitian elders sing in time to their grumbling bellies and stubborn hearts. How, after weeks under the rubble, a baby is pulled out, awake, dehydrated, adorable, telling stories with old soul eyes. How many more are still buried, breathing, praying, and waiting, intact despite the veil of fear and dust coating their bruised faces? I want to talk about our irreversible dead. The artists, the activists, the spiritual leaders, the family members, the friends, the merchants, the outcasts, the cons, all of them, my newest ancestors, all of them hovering now, watching our collective response, keeping score, making bets. I want to talk about money, how one man's recession might be another man's unachievable reality, how unfair that is. How I see a Haitian woman's face every time I look down at a hot meal, slip into my bed, take a sip of water, show mercy to a mirror. How, if my parents had made different decisions 3 decades ago, it could have been my arm sticking out of a mass grave. I want to talk about gratitude. I want to talk about compassion. I want to talk about respect, how even the desperate deserve it. How Haitians sometimes greet each other with the 2 words honor and respect. How we all should follow suit. Try every time you hear the word victim, you think honor. Try every time you hear the tag John Doe, you shout respect. Because my people have names. Because my people have nerve. Because my people are your people in disguise. I want to talk about Haiti. I always talk about Haiti. My mouth quaking with her love, complexity, honor, and respect. Come, sit, Come, stand, come cry with me, talk. There's much to say. Walk, much more to do. That's Brunel Reese, y'all. Thank you. Give yourself a huge round of applause. Let's hear it for Brenda Leon, my co-sister. I want to thank my husband, Mike, who brought them in. Come back next month. Order more food. The place is open till 8 o'clock. Stay and eat and drink. Thank you. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is. Oh, because I was showing where and I don't have that set up, but I can type it down. Okay, you can start it. I read about this in the Chestnut Hill. I come to this restaurant all the time. But luckily I got the paper the other day, so I'm so happy. Oh, awesome. Okay, so does it just automatically get the stuff?